For more on the future of streaming and entertainment, we are joined by Imani Cheers, Associate Director in the School of Media and Public Affairs at George Washington University. It's great to see you, actually, Imani. Let me start with this. This is controversial because we haven't seen very many of these big mergers, but I want to give you a quote from their global streaming chief talking about this merger, saying that it will have something for everyone in the household, which I translate that in the marketing talk as in, we got you all. What do you think?
Yeah, Phil, thank you so much for having me this evening. And I cannot agree with that quote or a lot of the critics right now, because this is huge. We are seeing and have seen the ability to bring powerhouses together. And with this merger, it is truly something for everyone. So whether it be sports, entertainment, children's programming, we're looking at a one-stop shop. Most families are subscribing to at least 4, if not 6 different streaming platforms. And this merger is trying to make it so that you really only have to go to one. And that's a pretty big deal.
Right, but I mean, devil's advocate here, if I was talking to any CEO of any streaming, enterprise, I'll bet you they'll say the same thing. We got it all too. Like if you talk to Disney, you talk to whoever you talk to, they're going to say, we have the channels that will supply. You don't need any other streaming service. But the reality, like you said, we have a lot of streaming services. We're subscribed. In fact, I know people are trying to cancel the streaming services. But what does the future of streaming look like? Because people forget that this whole business is really in its infancy.
It really is. And what we're seeing right now is the ability, because all of these platforms, I mean, it's a Friday night. I just sat here with my son and our au pair, and we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out which platform had the movie that we were trying to watch tonight. And I think that's a lot of families are doing, is they're juggling. Do we go to Netflix? Do we go to Amazon Prime? Do we go to Disney? Or do we now go to Discovery and, HBO Max? And I think what we're seeing with the infancy in streaming is that it's only going to become more of a bundling service. So whether it be a Hulu and an ESPN, which was the big merger a couple of years ago, but I think now we are really beginning to see the way in which these mega companies and these billion-dollar industries are looking at ways in which they can combine forces, because the reality is that 2, 3 services are really the package that you want, and it's better than going with the one. Netflix alone last year lost over 100 million subscribers. I mean, we're really seeing that people are looking for different content. They're looking for content that truly appeals to everyone in the household.
Well, let me help you and your pair. First of all, at 8 o'clock, they should be tuned into CGTN.com. That's the first thing that has to happen. Okay, after that, then I guess they can watch the other competitors. I had an interesting discussion with one of my producers about this, and the big seem to get bigger, and I don't think this is any different. This is going to be hard for smaller creative outlets to create content to get distribution, because the big ones are beginning to sort of monopolize, if you will, all of our eyeballs. What about all these movies that are getting canceled? I read over and over again, I thought they were successful sitcoms, but they're getting canceled. Is this going to be a trend that we're going to see, or we're going to actually have less choices when it comes to content because there are less streaming services?
What I'm hoping is that, content creators are really going to start realizing that they still maintain a majority of the power. I know it's easier said than done when you look at, like, I have a really amazing show, I have a phenomenal documentary or a docu-series. Where do I, option our viewers? And whether it be a HBO Max or a Netflix, a Hulu, etc., I think we're going to find that content creators are going to have more options than less. And I know this is sounding a bit optimistic, but I truly believe that, the way in which we're looking, good content, great content, phenomenal stories are going to rise to the top. So it's really putting the ball on the hands of content creators to say, if you want to get your project seen by millions of people, not only do you have to have phenomenal storytelling and great characters and phenomenal editing and content, but I think we're going to see an opportunity for these content creators to have more say and where their content goes than less.
Right, but if I write a documentary and Nanuka or Nellis, one of our producers, we put together this amazing storyline, and I'm trying to share it with you, Imani, and say, look, I want you to take a look at it and see what you think of our great ideas. In the old days, you'd take it to Hollywood, right? You'd take it to an executive at a production house. They would read it, and they would see maybe the first 10 minutes of it, and they would give you feedback. Nowadays, I don't know where you go with that unless you have amazing connections or somehow a ton of money and just, I guess, buy your way in.
And I mean, that is absolutely true. I mean, the reality is that the golden gates of Hollywood or our streaming platforms, they're definitely getting more gilded. They're definitely becoming more elite. But that doesn't mean that we're not having the option. I look at a content creator like an Issa Rae, who is I'm absolutely a magnified fan of. And, she primarily is on HBO, and her show Insecure ended in the fall of 2021, but she has more content on HBO Max. She's continuing to promote her work, multiple shows. I look at someone like a Quinta Brunson, which is on ABC with her show, which is now also on Hulu, Abbott Elementary, a breakout, amazing series about a public school in Philadelphia, that you're having just like really phenomenal stories that are able to get to, and again, Quinta Brunson and Issa Rae are obviously very well connected in Hollywood themselves, but these are individuals that honestly, Phil, they started on YouTube. They started on free streaming platforms. They were able to get their name out, make truly an audience for themselves, and then that audience propelled them with their creativity to stardom.